So you do everything they told us to do. The degrees, the job, the house in the school district with the good schools. And then you head to back to school night and you realize that your kid is the only one.
I mean, nobody really gives you an instruction manual for what it's like when your kid's the only black kid in everything.
Which means their friends are predominantly not black. So today, we are not talking about the Nolan Wells case.
Not directly.
Not
I can't
directly.
handle that. I'm too emotionally distraught.
And there are plenty of people who are doing that. But I do think that it's important that we have a conversation that this case has forced a lot of parents to have.
Yo parents, yo parents, yo parents and professors. Yo parents, yo parents, yo parents and professors.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Parents and Professors podcast with your favorite triple C's, co-parents, colleagues, and collaborators. This is a podcast where we explore the intersection of co-parenting, education, and anything else in entertainment, popular culture, news, etc.
Politics.
That we find interesting. I'm Dr. Michael Stephen Williams.
And I'm Dr. Marjorie and Williams. And today we are talking about a couple of different things. One, thinking about the choice that many Black parents and families make to move to spaces where they're predominantly white and what that choice costs them, if they feel like there's a cost. I think it also means...
There's always a cost.
Well, yes. I think sometimes people don't... It's not that they don't recognize... They choose to ignore it. Some people, I think, choose to ignore it.
Or they think the trade-off is worth it.
Or, right, that it's worth it. I think a look at our own kids' friendships and friend groups and having a conversation about that, particularly how differently we see some of the risk associated with who they choose to hang out with. And then lastly, thinking about a model that Kimberly Seals Allers laid out in thinking about how do we navigate this in a way that we're not alone. And I will be honest, I was like, oh, this never even occurred to me. So
yeah, I was like, oh, you got a little, there's some tricks in your bag that I hadn't even thought about.
Putting that in my toolkit.
Yeah. As always, before we dive in, this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed are our own. Our discussions based on our personal experiences, publicly available information, and general knowledge. And we make every effort to be accurate, but we encourage you to verify the facts for yourself. We're not attorneys. Nothing we say is legal advice. We're not therapists, though we have our moments. So please consult qualified professionals for guidance on your own situation. We're not your mama, but we might sound like her sometimes. And you should always remember to silence your phone before you start podcasting.
Get ready for bed alarm. I will not be shamed. So I was exploring the gram and the internet and came across a video that I thought was really interesting and contributes to the conversation that Michael and I are having today. Like we mentioned, Kimberly Seals Allers, thank you, who is an award-winning journalist, a 5-time author, speaker, and also, I think really importantly, a maternal and infant health advocate, particularly for Black women. We know that Black maternal health in this country is abysmal.
And she is a Black woman.
And she's a Black woman. Former senior editor at Essence, former writer at Fortune. So this is a person who, has done all the things, is deeply involved in the work, is a Black parent herself. And so she talks about the Nolan Wells situation from the perspective of a Black mother with Black children who are in similar spaces. And so for those who may not know, we'll add a little bit of context. So Nolan Xavier Wells, who is 18, living in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, was a high school graduate and a student at Southwest Mississippi Community College, disappeared on July 4th, 4th of July weekend, on a boat trip to Horn Island. So it's a barrier island about 10 miles off of the Mississippi coast. And then his body was found on July 6th. He appeared to be the only person of color in the photos that were seen from this trip. So across the many young people who were on the island that day and who were out on boats that day, it appears that Nolan was the only person of color. Currently, the case is
it's really being adjudicated.
I don't know if investigated is the right word.
Some of it's in the court of public opinion.
Much of it is in the court of public opinion.
The Grace Jones situation, or what's her name?
Oh, first of all, shout out to Nancy Grace, because Nancy Grace, when she makes up her mind that we're going to figure out what is going on and we are not going to let people not pay attention to this thing, because I have questions, she is on it. Because she's like, what? But how? We just, nothing, nobody No investigation.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good to have somebody that's white.
A white woman asking questions.
Yeah.
That a mother is being bullied and harassed and shamed and attacked for asking, which is also crazy, but that's not what we're talking about. Authorities have leaned towards this being an accidental drowning. An independent autopsy commissioned by the family has said that they could not determine the manner of death and could not rule out foul play. And so it is currently still being investigated. We wanted to talk about not the case itself, but the situation that Nolan allegedly was in, right? So he is the only child of color in a space of all white folks. And as a parent, when I look at this case, and then I turn and, think about my son and his friend group and our daughter and much of her friend group, although it's a little bit more diverse.
No, Maximin's friend group is more diverse than Makari's. Makari's closest friends are black or black identified. The people she spends the most time with. Like she has.
Oh, you said the other way around.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I think
you're saying Makari's close friends.
Yeah, her closest friends are blacker.
2 of them, yes.
Yeah. But those are the ones she spends the vast majority of her time with.
Yes. But it's not like when we also think about the other spaces that she's in, like her school friends and, the soccer team.
Yeah.
There's another girl, and I was like so excited.
Yeah.
I was like,
she's the fly
nappy hair. What?
Yeah, she's the fly in the ointment on the soccer team for sure.
Hard body.
Yeah, so that's a little bit different.
I think and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I also think it matters that one of her closest friends is also biracial, and her primary family, or the family that she spends the most time with, is her
white family.
So I think that's relevant.
Yeah.
But this situation, I think for me, one is just devastating, right? To any parent to lose a child is difficult, no matter the circumstances. Compounded with to lose a child in a way that leaves you with nothing but questions and not knowing is even harder. And then I feel like there's this also piece where other people, children, young adults, who are allegedly the friend of your child are just all like, like, we don't know what happened. It's weird. Like, I know if I turned up missing, my friends would be like, the fuck? Where are you? What's going on? They would call you. They would absolutely call you.
They'd be like, Mike.
We haven't heard from her. We haven't seen her. What's going on?
I'd be like, look, first off, I had nothing to do with it, bitch ass niggas.
No, so, but I think that...
I wish she told me more often.
the point being...
I get it. Here's my location.
Yes.
Oh, it's like we're dungeon crawling together.
Yes. That's actually a good one. We're going to do a DCC pod at some point, but that's for a later date. But, I think about as parents, we worked really hard, and even, moving to Columbia or the schools that we sent our kids to, even when we were in Jersey.
There's so many different things to deconstruct, right? Because part of the entry point for me is, what does good mean? Right.
Oh,
so
schools.
We wanted to live in a neighborhood. So one of the ways that we made decisions about where we lived, and ultimately the neighborhood that I live in now is the neighborhood that we chose when we first moved here.
Yeah.
Because it was districted for the schools that we liked. They were the better schools.
But
right?
it was a balance, right?
Yeah.
So because we did look at, so when we first moved to Columbia, we looked at a lot of different schools. And that included elementary schools that had high ratings based on standardized test scores, sort of state scoring, academics, and performance, and then other factors.
Yeah.
And so but we didn't choose the school that just had the best grades, and that was it.
We didn't choose the school that just had the people of color, and that was it either.
No.
Yeah, we try to find a balance, but even the savvy to investigate with those, like with the vision for those things, like to have the privilege and the understanding of how the education system works to approach it that way is already us separating ourselves from regular people, quote unquote, right?
Oh.
And so when you find yourself in situations where, well, who else has the social and cultural capital to think about, hey, I want my children to be in a school where they score excellently and they have a lot of resources and their teachers are well trained, and I have enough understanding to also be like, hey, and I would like it to be diverse to the extent that I can control it.
As much as is possible. And
a lot of people don't have that choice set available to them. is I'm going to buy a house in the district that is the absolute best I can get into for my child, and I'm going to let the rest of the dice fall where they may. And I think that's part of what's going on with the Nolan Wells situation. It's we as Black people, as Black parents, as people who often are first or second generation college goers, have a really unexamined idea about like what a good school or a good neighborhood is. Because that isn't necessarily, especially in the contemporary environment that we find ourselves in, being outside of your ethnic enclave is actually more dangerous right now than it's been in a very long time.
Yeah. But I think that is, it's difficult, right? Because it also assumes, and one of the things that we talked about when this case came up is choice, right? So some people live in a place because they got a job there. We moved to New York while you were still a PhD student because I got a job in New York.
We moved to Missouri
because we got jobs here. Like it wasn't like, oh, where do I want to be? Columbia, Missouri. No.
Yeah. But I also, like, also don't want to be in New York City.
No, that's
absurd. And so it's like, what is the academic job market in particular is difficult because the portability isn't really there. I can't just be like, there are a lot of people in a lot of different industries. So like if you're in healthcare, if you're in insurance, you could be like, I'm going to get a job in this locale that I wish to live in because those jobs are available. That's not how the academic job market works.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah, you got to go where the work is.
I guess I feel like it is, I don't know if it's more difficult given our educational backgrounds, but not only are we educated Black professionals, but we're educated Black professionals in education.
Yeah.
So when I think about...
It's a gift and a curse.
Yes. Our choice
I know too much.
Am I going to do what I can to support other schools and other students and programs that support students and talk about, when I'm on the school board, policies that have disparate impacts on different student populations and speak up about those things? Absolutely, yes. Am I going to send my kid to...
the remedial school with a weak principal and no literacy programs, right?
Or like the highest truancy rates? No.
Yeah,
or like the highest like violent incident rates? No.
And I don't think anybody's to be faulted for that because as a parent, what you're trying to do is just raise the likelihood that your kid has options.
Right. Whatever I can do to give you an advantage, I'm going to do that. Whatever I can do to help you be successful, I'm going to do that. I just feel so frustrated that in 2026, that choice means that we're putting
our children's life at risk.
I mean, yes, right?
That's the real. Like, I'm putting your life at risk by putting you in the company of undereducated whites.
But it's not just undereducated whites because this is I believe
those are the most dangerous to me.
Affluent, the
affluence and education are not hand in hand. There's plenty of really smart, really rich. Think about who's running the country right now.
Yes, but I think
they're crazy.
No. Uneducated is different.
Elon Musk doesn't like the Odyssey.
Hold on, because they're Black people and Black people weren't invented yet. I know.
Exactly.
Josh Johnson told me.
A mythical tale.
She was born from an egg.
But Matt Damon from Boston makes sense as Odysseus, right? Like there's actually a disease. Racism is a mental disorder.
I don't disagree with that, but that is different than these families share affluence. The parents being judges, lawyers, these are
they're socially well
people
positioned.
with social, cultural capital in their spaces. Those things come with real advantages, right? The schools have more, right? They get recruiters, they get better trips, they get better teachers, they get better resources. And so I just feel a frustration in that as a parent when I think about, actually, college is a good example. So we now are getting into the boy's going to college soon. That's visits are around the corner. And in my mind, I'm like, I really just want you to go to HBCU, but they be playing games. And so but also where can you go that I feel like you aren't going to be, prevented from learning about Black history. It's those same decisions, but at a national scale.
I'm not too worried about that because I think we, and by we, I mean you, have an outsized influence on his curricular choices when he gets to college.
Thanks.
You think that I'm going to stop dictating this to you because you left?
No, of course not. But I know for me, college was where, my awakening, my cultural, ethnic, negrescence, right? Like my
but
development.
but that's because you were first generation immigrant child and you were lied to about Black Americans.
I don't know if it's lied to.
I think that you're painted with a very broad brush. And the assumption and what people often communicate to me, and this is just me being a Black American who happened to go to college with a lot of like Haitian, Jamaican, Ghanaian, Nigerian people, the assumption is that Black Americans are lazy and they don't have the same value system as you immigrant Blacks.
Yes.
When that's flatly untrue.
Yes.
They're like, and all the advances that are available and all the civil rights that you enjoy when you come over here are because Black Americans gave their life to try to move the race forward. And I think that gets ignored consistently, and it disgusts me, but it's not something I'm not used to. And so your negrescence journey starting in college makes sense to me because you're socialized in an ethnic enclave where like the ideas about what it means to be Black, even people try to opt out of being Black. I'm not Black, I'm Haitian. I'm not Black, I'm Jamaican. I'm not Black, I'm Ghanaian.
I'm Haitian American. It's different.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. You're Black because to them you're Black.
Listen, they don't care about. And unfortunately, like, seriously, thoughts and prayers to Haitians in Ohio right now because being rounded up and forced to wear ankle bracelets or the third deportation, but really the ankle bracelets are just the next step before deportation, all because you're Black.
Yeah.
And from another country. But like that's literally it.
Black people from here have had unlimited surveillance.
I know that.
Like,
I hope this is an eye-opening experience for racial and ethnically diverse immigrants across the board, although we know for some groups it's harder than others. Like, I hope it's a wake-up call. Like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
You're still Black.
I think that that's one of the core issues, right? And so when you, even in the intro, you talked about the fact that you do everything right because we've been sold the myth of meritocracy.
Yes.
The harder you work, if you go through the appropriate systems, if you go through our education system, if you get a good job, if you work hard, if you
go to college.
Yeah, like if you do these things, then you deserve a piece of what's available to people who do those things, which is a nice upper middle class life where you can afford fun and you can afford your lifestyle and your kids are good.
The American dream. And right now it's feeling more like a nightmare. So I want a refund. I don't know from who, but I want a refund.
I mean, you're just regurgitating Martin Luther King bars. Like the promissory note. Like, and that's what I'm saying.
Where Do We
like,
Go From Here is actually a very good book, and I suggest everybody read it.
But that's the kind of stuff that pisses me off. Like, it's like, yo, there's no idea that we've had about the struggle that a Black American hasn't had and acted on. Not just writing, like literally putting their physical body on the line.
I just want to.
And so, like, Haiti, the history of, and this is why Haiti has been
because we've literally been on the front line since day one.
Globally.
Day one.
But imagine me moving to Haiti and being like, third world country. You can't, these Haitians ain't working hard. These Haitians ain't trying.
But I think to get back to this point in the case.
But I think that's
this
the point.
This is not just an immigrant Black thing.
Well, I think it's
because there are Blacks, organic Blacks who
I think that's the point, though, right?
Thing.
Is that like we're sold a bill of goods, right? Like we've been hornswoggled, bamboozled, and otherwise run amok.
Hornswoggled is a good word.
Yeah. Hey, if you do it by the rules and you can afford to move where we live, then you're good. And it's like, no, actually, me playing by the rules and me rising through the ranks according to the rules of a racist society is me still putting my offspring at risk. That's the Nolan Wells case in a nutshell. Hey, I live in somewhere where I can afford, or even at least the takeaway for me is because Mississippi is not the most affluent place.
In their pockets.
Yeah, but if you're like, all right, what does it make a parent of a Black child who lives around predominantly white people that usually indicates that you're in the middle upper class?
When your kids have all white friends.
Yeah. And unfortunately, those things are very tightly coupled in the United States. Your social class and your demographics.
Yeah, race and class are very closely. There's a high correlation there.
Yeah. So the conversation isn't like, oh man, he was kicking it with poor whites. It's like, yo, he's kicking it with whites that have boats. Like,
right?
And
even that, yes.
Yeah, like whose parents are judges. Because if this were, this is a meth deal going wrong, we wouldn't even have heard about it.
No.
Like there wouldn't have been, if you're dealing with poor whites and poor Black people.
But I also think if the we just flip the situation, change the exposure, and it's a group of all black kids, and there's
And they have
one
a
white
single
kid,
white friend.
and the white friend shows up dead. All of those children are in jail.
That would never
I mean, but also I feel like
happen.
that part too.
Because we know that white kid needs to be protected.
And also that white kid he's probably there for a reason.
He needs all
He has been vetted.
he needs all the buffs. He needs all the healing potions.
He's been vetted.
Yeah, he's probably White Mike, and we all
this
fuck
is the
with
problem.
him already.
Yes, like I'm like this feels like it wouldn't
It's
even be
not
a thing. The reverse
possible.
doesn't work.
It's not possible in reverse.
I take it back.
Because also the maneuvering is impossible in reverse, unless you're in like PG County.
Right. That
Like, you're
a
like,
white
yeah.
child goes missing.
Yeah, and
For 2 days,
and the black parent is the judge who could suppress the case.
and we swipe, and we have his phone, and we erase. Hold on, we said we weren't going to do this.
Yeah, but I'm just like, but without it, we can still extract the lessons.
Yes.
And the lessons are that would never happen in reverse. It's only possible with the racial and ethnic breakdown as it happened.
So, I think that the thing that you mentioned, right, about the friend groups, because to Nolan, these were his friends, right? These children, these
so he
people,
thought.
or so he thought.
I mean,
He
it could
thought that
be
these people
people
were his
that are
friends.
just trying to glom off of his swag. It
Right,
could
and
have
we
been
don't know what
people who
happened,
don't
right?
really fuck with him like that.
Who knows? So hopefully one day we'll get the truth, but right now we have no idea what happened. I think for me, when I look at this situation and I look at who our kids associate with, because I'm also not going to tell you who to be friends with, because that's
Yeah.
absurd.
And that would never work because that
then
just,
you're like, now
that
I'm
just
gonna go
creates
be friends with you.
rebellions.
Yeah,
like,
No, so I'm not doing that. But I do think that, I mean, it's why we're in Jack and Jill, right? Like that I need you to have spaces where you're not the only one, where you can have conversations with your peers about, your braids being too tight, or, oh yeah, Miss Regine came over and did mine too, right? Like, or just being with other black men, other black women, seeing people who look like you and share your struggles, challenges, your life experiences, your circumstances, your swag, your music. I recognize that there are, and I know there are people out there who are like, oh, Jack and Jill and elitist and whatever. Like, cool, yeah, whatever. But I know for me and mine, my children need that. And so if I can facilitate, just like living in a neighborhood where it's a quote unquote good school district, like I see that as another tool that's going to support my kids' identity development. That's going to give them community in a way that, like, my friends and my moms who live on the East Coast in cities like DC and New York or California and LA and Philly don't have to think about, because the people around you are diverse. So living in Columbia, Missouri, and seeing who our kids gravitate towards, I feel like I need to actively work to keep Blackness central to their experience. And I feel like I worry. I sometimes worry.
I mean, I think there's
Not sometimes. I worry, period. I don't need to, yeah.
I'm less apt to worry because I was lucky to be raised with really thoughtful and supportive white friends who still are close friends of mine now. And I was Nolan Wells. Like, I was the black kid going on the road trip with the white family to the Poconos. Like, my boy Drew, we went alpine sliding. I still have scars on my knees from doing that shit to this day. Pause, if necessary.
Oh my God.
But like, my boy Bob, like going on fishing trips to the Chesapeake Bay. Like, my mom didn't have, and maybe she did. I don't know, because my mom's crazy. She might have had the full Allers type of conversation with their
we'll come back
parents.
to that. We'll come to that.
Yeah, like, but my general parenting philosophy is much more lenient as it relates to like friendship and space for that, because I feel like you have to offer trust for your kids to develop the skills. And like, at least in the case of at least one of my kids, I don't know about, one's too young to make those decisions. One, I trust the decision making. One, the jury is still out. But like, for the one whose decision making I trust, I want to be like, hey, I want you to be able to do this thing. I would not want to bar you from an experience because of my worry. Now, would I feel crazy and terrible if something were to happen? Absolutely. But I feel like the likelihood of that is a little bit lower, and the likelihood that it goes well is higher because we've trained our children well.
So yes, there are things that as black parents, and especially our kids, right? We've been having these conversations since they have been old enough to
birth,
comprehend,
like since they could talk,
right? So,
and even the books that they read, like
from day one, right? These are things that we have talked to them about. We have had discussions about. We have asked them questions about.
yeah, like why do they do that? Because they're black. Like, don't get it twisted.
But I think, and your comment about trusting the kids to me is, I know that our kids know how to act when they're in public, especially when they're not around us, because we hear it all the time.
Yeah, you get positive reports.
It's always positive reports, like, oh, Max this, or oh, Macari that, or we'd love for them to whatever. So like, you know, whatever they do at home, or their character, I believe that both of my children are essentially like they're people of character. They have good moral character. The problem is not them. It's the people that they're going to encounter. And actually, if we're thinking about our kids' friend groups, I am more likely to trust one group over another. And when I look at I was, as we were prepping for this episode, I was thinking about, well, why is that? There's probably some interest bias, so I will name that. But I think that because I'll name it. I think in Maximilian's friend group, there's much more diversity across lots of different,
like socioeconomic,
like
race, class,
gender expression, like neurodiverse. Like they literally are just the fucking like UN of people. When I look at the girls' friend group, minus really those two, it's very homogenous.
It's like presidents. White,
yes.
white.
Similar build, similar look, similar, like soccer is a great example. When we go to soccer tournaments, it's like, I don't have to look hard for my child.
Yeah.
She's easy to spot. One of these things isn't like the other. And in those homogenous spaces, I think it is sometimes easier for groupthink and for things to escalate. I've seen some of their group chats. Don't like it. I'm not a fan, but I'm not going to tell her how to run those spaces. And when I think about safety, I'm much more concerned.
You're more concerned for the girl than the boy?
Because of who her friends are. So here's an example. She got invited to an outing with a friend. This friend is biracial and spends their time with they're raised by their white family. And they were leaving Columbia.
Black, white, biracial.
Yes, black, white, biracial. They were leaving Columbia to go to a town maybe 20, 30 minutes away. I'm familiar with this place, and it has a very dark history. Like when you think about the like Nadir of like post-Reconstruction.
Oh, Nadir's a good one.
Yeah.
But also, what the fuck are you doing there?
I don't go there. That's my point.
Like, how do you know?
It's just like I don't go to the little Irish bar that's over up here on your street.
McGinty's?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I went in there with Slayton.
Exactly.
I had a good time.
But you didn't go in there by yourself?
Oh, I would never.
Exactly. And so when her friend invited her, and we know they've been friends for a very long time. We know her mom, her grandmother, her aunt, like have had a conversation, but we're not like cool. And so when they said, yeah, we're going to this place, and in my mind, I'm like, she's going to be the only black girl there in a town that like, you know, was home of the KKK in mid-Missouri to go swimming. And I'm just like, I don't like this.
Yeah. All the conversations I had, oh my goodness, I was doing it without realizing I was doing it.
Tell me more.
I just asked a bunch of questions of the mom and the grandma.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. That's why I agreed that she should be able to go.
Okay.
I was like, what exactly is the lodging situation? Where are you guys going to be? What is going to be taking place? Who all's going to be there?
Oh, no, that was when they were in town, which is different. That's another thing. But like, that's different than leaving to go somewhere.
But like, I think I think we naturally default to that because we have to.
Default to
asking questions. Like default to like, hey, I'm gonna need some more details. Like I can't really take at face value that my child is gonna be safe wherever you decide to take her as a white family in Missouri. Mm-hmm. And I'm always gonna err on the side of I trust my daughter and I trust my daughter to make wise decisions even under duress. And she knows how to contact us. And like, unless it's some kind of crazy serial killer situation.
But we know, I want to push back on that because we know it's not about crazy serial killers. We know that black children literally walk down the street in broad daylight, and because they're black, they're attacked.
Yeah, and so I think there's
exceedingly, like it is escalating. We're watching this in real time.
Oh no, it's real because the leadership of the country is weak, and weak bullies reinforce negative cultures that we have to be more concerned about people's physical safety than we have normally. And I find it very disappointing that like we're at the point where it's more dangerous for my kid to have white friends than it is for them to have black friends. Like, imagine growing up in urban spaces. Like, Blackness has always been a place of safety for me.
Yeah.
But I think that so many people who have the opportunity to raise their socioeconomic status forget that. And the idea becomes like, oh, I need to get around these white people because that's where the safety and the opportunity and the like. But it's really,
I don't think it's that though.
I think a lot of people move like that. And so
I
even
think
if
some
you think
people
about
move like that. Like our living here, it wasn't, I want to be around white people. It was, I need access to these resources. And for better or for worse,
but that's it. If
white
the resources
people have more access to resources.
We talked about it earlier. If you can't decouple socioeconomic status and race, and you can't decouple really like social service and social support mechanisms and race in terms of the investment in them, then you could either say it explicitly or implicitly, but it's like, yo, I'm trying to get around these white people because that's where the better schools are. That's where the better opportunities are. That's where like
but
the
it's
more...
not, no, I don't think those things are the same. I think because I want to separate these because there are black people who explicitly say things like, I want to be around white people versus...
Oh, I don't know those people.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. They know better than to say that out loud around me.
But so there is a group that is explicitly thinking that versus I want to be in a space where my kid has better opportunities. And that space so happens, unless you're like in Atlanta or DC,
Atlanta, like they're very small.
Yeah,
places
like there
where,
are enclaves where there are larger populations of middle and upper class black people. Chicago, like you can find them, but if you, like you said before, if my job doesn't give me an opportunity to move to these places or I just can't afford it, that's not, it's not for a lack or want.
Yeah.
So I think those need to be separated.
We still have to be realistic about what it means though.
I mean, and that's right back to the consequences. So I think for me, you know, for better or for worse, we are inundated with much more information and news than before. And so it's funny because I tell my friends all the time, like our kids are safer than they've ever been in the history of childhood.
Yeah, but they're also lazier and don't invest in friendship and don't leave the house as much.
That's a different pod. That's a different pod. But literally, it is safer to be a child in 2026, on average, than any time in the history of childhood. Unfortunately, and what we were talking about before is, I think in some ways, it is unfortunately more dangerous to be a young black child in 2026 than it was when we were growing up, you know, in the like 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so...
But it's also why they soft. Jesus!
Actually, somebody...
Like, yo, if I'm on the streets and I'm like, yo, niggas will shoot me, B. Like, there is a certain way that I have to behave in order to make sure that I make it home safely.
No, but I think that's the problem. That regardless of how we behave, Michael, it's open season on black people.
But it's always been open season on black people.
No, it is not the same.
In the United States?
It is not the same, Michael. It is not the same.
Depending on where you live. So you've had a very sheltered existence in the
first of all, I'm from Long Island.
You're from the Northeast.
One of the most racist places and most segregated places in all of America. So no.
I've lived in the American South where it's much more blatant. In the Northeast, they hide it. They're not going to say like, we'll string you up. We'll let you, what are you doing here, boy?
I think that all those things are true, but now it's not just words. And I think that's the thing. Across the board, everywhere.
I think now it's crazy.
It's like, oh, we get to act on it.
Yeah, it's as crazy as
we get to act on all the things that we thought and what, right? There were the two cases where...
Whatever the most base instinct of racist is, they have space and opportunity to act on it.
There was a family gathering earlier this summer, and this white guy just drove past and then went back to wherever he came from and then came back with fucking armor and a gun and shot at a like family reunion.
Oh yeah, and they bucked back and got that nigga.
And then they were like, but you shouldn't have shot him.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I thought we were all...
But it's because like self-defense don't work the same way if you're black.
Exactly.
And like, what do you mean defend yourself, darky? Like, how dare you? Like, let me hit you. Let me shoot you.
Right. So like it is, there are some things I think that are, while I appreciate being able to see it and it's out in the open and it's blatant, the willingness for people to resort to violence has escalated. And I feel like for me as a parent, that makes an already difficult situation, it heightens it, right? It heightens the awareness. It heightens the worry. And so to get back to what, Kimberly had shared, and sort of what prompted the conversation was a post where she talks about the situation and the fact that, like Michael said, first gen, we have Black children, we have these talks with them, but my son is kind of the only one in his friend group. And he got invited to a thing, and these thoughts are running through her mind. And what she did next was just like, it was definitely like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, it's like, I need you to be responsible for the safety and security of my Black child in this new context that you're bringing them to.
In a predominantly white space, and had explicit...
Yeah, I need you to talk to the security guards who may be confused that there's a Black boy wandering around your complex. I need you to talk to every other adult that he's going to be around.
The grandparents. Do they know? Do they understand? How?
Yeah.
And I appreciate her not just, I think for us, we have these conversations.
The thing I liked most about it was that it was an invitation to care.
Yes. Hey,
I'm inviting you. I really appreciate that you think so highly of my child that you wish to invite them on this journey. And I'm inviting you to care for my child's safety and security in the same ways that I must as a Black parent.
Yes. And shout out to the family friend, because they were like, bet, we got you. And it wasn't seen as an insult.
Yeah,
it wasn't seen as like
white
people are racist, or why I don't see color or any of that.
Yeah, it was hey, you have some points, and we're going to
sharing.
And we're going to do everything we can to make sure your little boy is good and he gets back to you.
And that's all it takes. And I was just, I think it made me feel so emotional that she was able to express her fears and concerns to, and I think race is really important in this conversation, right? A Black mom expressing her fears and concerns for her Black son to a white mom, and the white mom seeing that as, I think, appreciating it, right?
That it's valid, that it's real, that it's unfortunate that you have to think like that, but I understand that you do, and I got your back.
How can we help, right? And they took it seriously. So they talked to the neighbors, they talked to the grandparents, they talked to the security guard. They say, here's who he's going to be. Here's when we're going to check in. Everybody's going to know what the deal is. And
yeah, but everybody needs that. And it's unfortunate because everybody has to be on the same page to ensure the safety of Black children. It just is what it is. We have too many Zimmermans who've gone free.
Mm-hmm. And especially because, and I'm even now thinking we have white friends, right? And I would love to
extremely close
post these questions to them and be like, hey, I came across a story and this happened, and I would have never, and you're somebody that I like, we kick it, our friends know each other, and I would never have thought to have this conversation.
You should ask the pop moms.
I'm going to whenever I next see them. If we think about not just trusting our kids, but people or adults that we trust, these are adults that I would trust with my children.
Yeah, I mean, we did trust them with our children already.
Did.
Yeah, we trusted them to keep our children safe during the pandemic.
During global pandemic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be really interested in how they view this conversation, and how often or not often, infrequently. Oh my gosh, I know words.
Yeah. Well, I think I feel like it's a reasonable thing though, because if you ask yourself the question, how many white families would be comfortable engaging?
Oh, right, would even be willing to.
Yeah, would be even willing to have the conversation.
The thing is,
have it on terms that are realistic. Hey, this is what we have to worry about, and so we're spreading that to you versus oh, you would never have to worry about that.
I don't even see color.
Yeah, think about the number of people who would get defensive and wouldn't even really engage the conversation with some seriousness.
So, interestingly enough, even though we do live in mid-Missouri, I think Columbia, of all places, there's probably a higher likelihood that people would be comfortable with that conversation because of where we live.
Oh, we had the whites be having Black Lives Matters.
Yeah, it's very... I think we live in a community where many white people aim to be allies, and people believe in more progressive, equitable values. Even the people who are conservative, actually, which is such a funny also thing to have a conversation around. Because I feel like when we first moved here, there was a lot of the events of 2015 when there were student protests on campus about the way that Black students and other students in marginalized identities were being treated. And I feel like one of the go-tos was we're not like that. That's not how Columbia is. We're not racist. I'm not racist. Now, lots of people say those things and engage in wildly racist behavior.
And indeed, if not in word.
But I think many of the people here say it not in a... I say it because I think they mean it, or they want to mean it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's different.
I think that's a really important point, right? So if I were thinking about takeaways from the conversation, part of what I would be thinking about is the fact that, you could have really well-intentioned white friends who are putting your kid at risk in a way that they don't even realize they're doing. Like, they're not doing it on purpose.
Yes.
It's just like being around me and me navigating spaces where I'm comfortable and where I'm safe might not necessarily translate to my friends of color.
Yeah.
And so what does it mean to initiate the conversation? But also not just the conversation with the parents, because obviously that's important and there's a certain power dynamic there, but also to offer parents the language to have that conversation with their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yo, don't put your black friends in crazy situations.
Right. And
like, yo, you
yes.
can't go to Uncle Jimmy's tire shop.
Listen, we know your Uncle Jimmy. Like, just don't do it. Yeah, yeah. And, I think I often say this about Maximilian's friend group. I think they're a good group of kids. Like, they're good kids.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they, and by extension him, can't end up in positions or situations where it could be everybody's unsafe and it's heightened for him.
Yeah.
And so knowing that they understand that, I think is just as important, like you said, as the parental conversation. And I think for me, yeah, I worry. I remember, I think I've shared this before, but try to not get emotional. So when Maximilian was born, no, he was maybe 2. He was almost 2 around the time when Trayvon Martin was murdered. And I remember thinking oh my God, I have a black son who I am going to raise and then put out into this world that doesn't care about him at all. And how can I protect him? And I remember just feeling so worried for him and the future that he would have, certainly not seeing this coming. And I think that one of the things I took away from Kimberly's post is that I don't have to worry alone. Or if my child is friends with someone and that person's parents actually care, then that's worry that, and it shouldn't just be between you and I, but that I can share with them.
It should be a shared concern.
It's like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is an invitation into conversation.
And I think that goes, it's one of those things that's like an implicit value of black communities. Like, I'm going to take care of your kids like they're my own. Mm-hmm. And making it explicit so that you feel the same level of comfort and safety with your kids in different contexts. Like, that's really what's most important.
I think a lot of people want to be allies. And I think what this conversation offers is a way to demonstrate that through your action and not just, a social media post or what you put on Facebook
appropriately extend it.
A signpost in your front yard. So how do we make this action oriented?
A lot of people don't get an opportunity to really put their values on display through action. And I think that this is a really great opportunity to do just that.
Yeah. I think I know I will continue to worry.
I know I'm going to continue to worry, but also be like, go.
And we will continue.
Yeah, we'll ask some conversation. We'll ask some questions and we'll Some of my best experiences were, and continue to be, a willingness to be like, oh, I don't know if that sounds like the safest situation, but fuck it. We can go have some fun.
Yeah, no. And it's good. It's good to have parents who don't always agree.
Yeah. I mean, but I recognize that not being on the same page about everything is important because it gives us a more robust perspective to advocate for and support our kids.
Yeah. So
if everything is just one note, then they're rebelling against both of us and nobody gets the real story. And nobody gets the honesty.
It's balanced.
Yeah. This way it's all right, well, I'm going to try to manipulate by going to the parent. Even though we're on the same page at the end of the day, I'm going to try to go to the parent that I think is going to be most favorable, not knowing that they're just going to tell the other parent.
I mean, yes. Yeah. I think the other part of this we talk a lot about parents, but I think anyone in these spaces where you are concerned for a young person, it could be a niece, a nephew, a grandchild, whatever, be willing to have the conversation. So, the next time that invitation comes or the next time your kid asks you to do whatever, and that they're going to be the one and only or likely the only one or one of a few, I do think it's unfair that we put it all on our children.
Yeah.
Because they're still children.
Yeah, it's collective responsibility.
And
for sure.
So we should extend that conversation and give people an opportunity to have it with us, right? To show us who they are. And I say this too, I think whether you're black or not, right? If your child is inviting friends over and, hey, I noticed, are they okay? Are their parents cool with it? Did you guys have a conversation about it?
It's
are
a real
you
thing.
prepared?
If you're a parent and your child has the privilege of having a diverse friend group, these are things that you need to be thinking about.
Absolutely.
Whatever intersections of identity and social address aspects of their diversity manifest themselves. Like, we need to be thinking about protecting all children, but especially those whose society has made it okay to dehumanize.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad I don't have the emotional capacity to talk about the Nolan Wells story like in full, at least not right now, but I do want to send out a sincere rest in peace and gratitude for the fact that it's reminding Black parents about like really important conversations that we need to have right now.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to see any repeats.
Yeah. So we will make sure that the link to Kimberly's website and the post are in the show notes. We mentioned aggressance theory earlier, but didn't really get into it.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
But
that's Cross 1992. If you want to,
Yes.
we hit them with the parentheticals.
We will put a link to that in the show notes as well. And again, we appreciate y'all rolling with us.
Yeah, much love. And hopefully we have some more positive stories to talk about and base the episode off in the near future. But until then, appreciate you rocking with the Parents and Professors podcast.
Peace.
If this conversation resonated with you, do us a huge, huge, huge favor. Like the episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on all our socials. I actually be going crazy on Instagram, so that's the best one.
And please feel free to drop a comment below. Tell us what you liked, what you hated, where you'd like us to dig deeper, or even if you think we missed something. We're always learning and growing, and we want to make sure that we're creating content that resonates with viewers like you.
And most importantly, and this is a huge one, if you know somebody who could benefit from hearing the conversations that we're having on this episode, please share. Sharing is caring. We're doing this for the love and to build a community because it matters.
And at the end of the day, that's the most important part, creating spaces where we can have real, honest conversations about the things that matter to you: education, parenting, relationships, and everything in between.
So thanks for being part of our community. Go check out the catalog of other episodes if you haven't. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the Parents and Professors podcast.